Welcome back to the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube. Welcome back to Swivel Chair Sports. I'm your host, Zach Zuckerberg Merkel, here with the host today, Aaron and Joe. Go and say hi, guys.
Hi.
All right. So in this episode, last week, this video format did pretty well. So we thought we'd bring it back. We're doing winners and losers of Week 2 in the NFL regular season. Similar to last time, if you watched our video from last week. We'll be going through, each giving our winners, and then a loser, and then a winner, and then a loser, and just keep going around in that format until eventually we just run out of people to talk about.
And if you like our content, be sure to like and subscribe and leave a comment and let us know what you think.
Yep, your subscription means a lot, as we're on our way to 250 subscribers, so please help us reach that goal if you enjoy our content. But, back to the video. So, starting off with our first winner of the week. I'm going to go with quarterback with a little bit of a resurgence this year, a little bit of a career renaissance, you may say. Sam Darnold for the Minnesota Vikings. Came into week 2, going up against a juggernaut in the San Francisco 49ers, and ended up throwing for 268 yards, 2 touchdowns, did throw a pick, but had a 109 QB rating, so all in all, pretty solid day for Sam Darnold in a game that we all thought he was probably going to get smacked in, but ended up not only playing well, but giving his team the victory, an upset in week 2. He's proven that maybe there was a reason he was taken 3rd overall back in 2018. I don't know. Maybe the Jets weren't crazy. They're just really badly ran franchise. I mean, that's a fact. So it could just be the Jets were the problem. And the Panthers, yeah. So he really didn't have a good shake. Here in Minnesota this season, he's looked solid, throwing for an average of 238 yards a game. Granted, it's only 2 games, but does have a 72% completion percentage in those 2 games, which at this point are both career highs for Sam Darnold. Again, only 2 weeks, but still, for him, he's looking great. It feels like there may be a pattern here. Geno Smith, obviously, sucked for the Jets, went to a dumpster fire franchise in the New York Giants right after that. And then where he didn't play well, obviously, similar to Sam Darnold down in Carolina. And then they both moved cross-country back up for a California football team. Geno Smith for the Los Angeles Chargers and Sam Darnold for the San Francisco 49ers. Both move up north. Geno Smith with the Seahawks starts, playing well, gets a long-term deal there. Now Sam Darnold with the Vikings. I don't know. Maybe this means Zach Wilson's going to sign with the fucking Rams this offseason. Backs up Stafford for a year, then plays for the Browns after Deshaun Watson gets kicked out, and he has a career renaissance. I don't know, but Sam Darnold looks really good these first 2 weeks.
It's crazy what happens when you take these quarterbacks out of poverty franchises and give them elite receiving corps.
Zach Wilson's got a bright future is what I'm seeing right here.
Go ahead, Joe, because I'm gonna combine a winner and a loser. So.
Bet. So my winners, again, when I pick my winners and losers, I go with like an overreaction type one. My first one, though, is going to be the Chargers. I mean, brand new head coach going away from, we're just not even going to bring up the past of it, but I mean, 2-0, Jim Harbaugh's first 2 games. Granted, the opponents aren't very great, but J.K. Dobbins specifically, I mean, last game, 131 yards and a touchdown coming off the injuries that he's had. I mean, if you're Jim Harbaugh 2-0, I don't know how much you could really ask for at the end of the day. The Chiefs are still taking that division. The Chargers are still absolutely no threat to that division. But just with that, I'm going to say, 2-0, that they're just in a really good place after 2 weeks.
After playing the Raiders and the Panthers.
Yeah, the Raiders look good. They just beat the Ravens.
Hey, it's 2 weeks.
Yes.
But,
I'm gonna
overreact. Got to take the win.
I gotta add the Ravens to my losers list here real quick.
After I brought them up, yeah.
All right, so I got a kind of combined winner-loser here. Winner, Commanders kicker Austin Seibert, 7 for 7. Makes them the first. Well, them and the Giants here. Giants the first team to score 3 touchdowns in regulation and still lose.
While holding the other team to no touchdowns, I believe is the stat.
while holding the
Yeah.
other team to no touchdowns. Yeah, so congratulations to owners of Austin Siebert. Loser, Giants head coach, front office, whoever makes their final roster decisions there, knew that Graham Gano going into the game had a little bit of a groin injury, and obviously I think he had the opening kickoff and then he hobbled off the field and was unable to play the rest of the game.
Oh, geez.
They went into that game with a 52-man roster. They could have elevated another kicker. But they
Wait, they only had
they had
52
an
men?
extra-
What, counting
they had an extra-
Gano?
Yes,
Oh,
they had
no.
an extra roster spot, so they could have elevated a kicker and prevented all of this. But they didn't, so
That's crazy.
they lost.
That is
Congratulations to the Giants.
Yeah, they could have used a safety like
Yeah.
Justin Reed. Safety
Yeah.
kicker. My first loser. I've got. Oh, man. This pains me to say, but similar to my Daniel Jones take, this one's aging really badly. I got Will Levis.
And that's where you're going.
Yeah, that's where I was going with this. Will Levis played poorly. Had one bright spot in that 40-yard touchdown pass to Calvin Ridley, which was really more so Calvin Ridley just making an incredible catch, just being face guarded on that. I don't know how he came up with that, but regardless, outside of that, Will Levis looked like shit. Managed to single-handedly lose the Titans the game once again in back-to-back weeks with yet another one of the most inexplicable turnovers I've ever seen in my entire life. This time he was actually in the red zone when he did it, so even worse. Well, actually probably not, because at least this one didn't go back for 6. But yeah, just if you haven't seen it yet, I mean, he was like scrambling to his left on a screen route or something, jumped over a lineman, and then airborne tried to underhand toss the damn thing to, was it Tony Pollard? I don't even know who he was trying to throw it to. But tried to underhand throw it yet again, similar to what we saw in that horrendous interception in week 1. Just try to do way too much when you don't need to. Ended up losing by 7 at the end of it. I mean, obviously, there's no guarantee they would have scored a touchdown there. It was early in the game. He did manage to, tie it up late in the third with that 40-yard bomb I mentioned earlier. But just once again, one too many boneheaded mistakes for Will Levis. And this Tennessee team must be pissed because they look really, really good at every other position outside of quarterback. And they'd probably be 2-0 if it wasn't for Will Levis. Maybe if they had next guy I'm going to talk about here in a little bit, Malik Willis at QB, they would have won. I don't know.
Well, it's kind of funny that you have Will Levis as a loser because I have the Titans front office as a winner, because not only have they built a decent team that's exciting and should play a lot of close games this year, they decided to start Will Levis, who is must-watch football for what boneheaded play is he going to make to cost them the game this year. So they'll be entertaining at least. They're must-watch football, but they should be bad enough to, be towards the top of the draft and be able to go get maybe one of those elite quarterbacks coming out this next season. Good foresight from the Titans front office.
Before I pick my actual loser, I'm with Burke on the Levis one. I mean, for the 2 fumbles, 3 picks, 7 sacks in the first 2 games. I mean, the sacks don't help, but to put it in perspective, he had 7 fumbles in 9 games last year. The guy's allergic to the football, and I think they're just
It's like Josh Allen, but without any of the good stuff.
Much like one of Burke's other favorite quarterbacks, Daniel Jones.
Yeah, again, Josh Allen without any of the good stuff. I'm seeing a trend
So
here.
I think what we learned is whoever Burke picks, bet against, and you're gonna win that one at the end of the day. Well, my first on that one, I'll do my first loser is the Rams. I mean, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, Tyler Higbee. I mean, it was from last year, but I mean, they're missing their top 3 weapons, and they're now 0-2. I mean, that's just a tough scene. I mean, Matt Stafford can only do so much with that kind of team around him. And I think from what I'm seeing, like Cooper Kupp's guaranteed out a couple weeks already.
He's on the IR, I think.
Guaranteed out a couple weeks. Is he going on?
I think so.
Like, I mean, the Rams will scrape out some wins. That's going to be some big wins, but they don't have those guys. And then Aaron Donald retired. I mean, that's not looking too bright anymore. So they got to be a loser just on the fact that they're just the injuries. Those are impact injuries.
Yeah, another one of my, real quick before Aaron goes, I'll just throw in my 2 cents on the Rams situation. I actually did have them, their hopes and dreams specifically, as one of my losers, because, yeah, similar to what you said, losing Kupp and Puka Nacua in back-to-back weeks. On top of that, they also have lost like half their O-line already to injuries. So, you can't protect Stafford. He's got nobody to throw to. Rams look screwed. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, I also have the Rams in my losers just because it's like, what do they have in the water there that nobody can stay healthy? It's just one player after the other. But we'll go ahead and throw out there, listen to Tony Romo call a Chiefs game, because even as a Chiefs fan, it's unbearable. I don't like Tony Romo to begin with, but then the absolute suck fest that he does to Mahomes is almost unlistenable.
Him and Chris Collinsworth are competing for who can suck it more. My next winner, I got Matt LaFleur. My preseason pick for Coach of the Year. And after Jordan Love went down in week 1, I doubled down and said they'd go 3-1 in this 4-game stretch, losing to the Rams, who now they could honestly probably beat with the injuries they've sustained. So may go 4-0 in this 4-game stretch without Jordan Love. My prediction about this game specifically essentially all came true. I said all they needed to do is feed Josh Jacobs the football. He would gash the Colts defense, which he did for 151 rushing yards on 31 carries. And all that Malik Willis really needed to do is just not make enough mistakes to win. And I predicted that Anthony Richardson would make one too many mistakes, which is exactly what happened, throwing 3 picks in that game.
3 too many mistakes.
Yeah, well, 3 too many mistakes, I guess. But they only lost by 1 score, so I'll only count one. Like one extra one was the problem.
The last one was kind of, that we won't count that last one because it was kind of a Hail Mary.
Yeah, but that's right, it was. Yeah. But yeah, week 2, incredible showing for the Matt LaFleur offense, despite being out their franchise quarterback. Malik Willis, just a couple stats. Before week 2, he only had 3 starts in his career. Throwing for a combined 234 yards on 25 for 49, so basically 50%. No touchdowns, 3 picks. Did have 1 rushing touchdown on 95 yards, but also lost a fumble, so way more turnovers than he had touchdowns. And Matt LaFleur's offense, no turnovers, 1 touchdown. Didn't throw a whole lot, but wasn't asked to do a whole lot. So maybe there's something to say about Matt LaFleur's play calling and coaching. We all knew it was good, but to see it not be on the back of a potential Hall of Fame quarterback for once, it was interesting to see what the Packers were able to do.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off that, I'm going to throw out a loser. Colts defense. That run defense was bad. I mean, you kind of assume going into the game, the game plan for the Packers was to having a backup quarterback. That's exactly what they did. The Colts had to figure that, and they just
you think they stacked the box,
didn't do anything.
But
261 yards rushing is what they gave up, so that's not a good recipe to win a ball game.
I mean, somewhat piggybacking off of Burke, also taking one of my winners was the Packers. I mean, you need Malik Willis to do exactly what he did. I mean, he had 2 incompletions all game, no turnovers. That's a win in your book, even if they barely lose that game, let alone win. But to go away from that was just to add on to Burks. But my next win is the Jets. I mean, they scored 24 points. They got their first win under Aaron Rodgers. And also to let you guys know, they scored more than 21 points last year once. It was in Week 16 versus, the best football team in America, the Washington Commanders. And, I mean, He got
It
him a
was the
win.
worst defense, I
I
think,
mean,
last year.
that's all they've been looking for with Aaron Rodgers, is to finally get a win and watch him play some healthy games. And they got 24 points. I mean, you got to take what you can get. And I think that's a win at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure we all, like all three of us, might have been like somewhat high on Braylon Allen. I know none of us were touting him as being like a potential stud, but he looked really good in that game. And being as young as he is, he's just going to continue to grow, I would imagine. So it'll be exciting to see what he can do
Especially
with
with
Aaron Rodgers.
limited touches like the way he gets.
Yeah, shouldn't get banged up too bad, I wouldn't think, with Brees Hall taking the most bulk of the workload. So, sticking with head coaches for me, I'm going to go with my next loser. Mike McCarthy may have just lost his job. Came into the season on one of the hottest seats in the NFL amongst head coaches. Obviously, last year of his contract, so was not on a long-term deal. Started off the season strong, though, demolishing the Doo-Doo Browns, and heading to week 2, feeling pretty good. They signed CeeDee Lamb to an extension, signed Dak to extension. We all assume Micah's extension's coming soon. And then wham! They just get smacked in the mouth by New Orleans Saints, who may be better than we all thought they were, specifically me. And now I feel like, barring a Super Bowl run, McCarthy's basically guaranteed to be out, because if you can't... I mean, this is assuming that this isn't a fluky game like the Cardinals was last year, which I don't think it is. I think a little bit of it's the Saints were better than we thought. I think a little bit of it is the Cowboys might just not be that good. And if the Cowboys aren't that good this year, they have no reason to keep McCarthy around. 3 of their next 4 games are against Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and San Francisco, so I can't imagine they're going to have fare much better in those 3, specifically, because if they couldn't score on the fucking Saints, I don't see how you expect to score on the Ravens, Steelers, or 49ers. So, yeah, I don't see much hope for McCarthy past this season, at least for the Cowboys. Maybe he finds a job elsewhere, but I think he basically just lost his job in week 2.
Speaking of other coaches on the hot seat, this isn't a winner or loser, just throwing a feeler out there. Doug Peterson, not looking good down
I
there
thought
in
about putting
Jacksonville.
him in there.
Do you think he could be on the hot seat towards the end of the season?
Oh, I think he probably already is now. Like, he's probably, like, if they don't make the playoffs, I think he's guaranteed gone. Because Trevor hasn't looked like any better.
Yeah. And they paid him, so...
Yeah. Well, and Peterson was supposed to be he's supposed to be an offensive guy, so... He played cold in Kansas City back in the day.
Let's throw out there winner, Jaden Daniels. I think of the rookie QBs, he's looked the best.
By far.
None of them have had really much success in terms of finding the end zone, but he's yet to throw an interception. He's looking calm and poised in the pocket. Obviously he went into, not the best situation, don't have the most explosive weapons, the best offensive line. Really a very good defense either. So you could kind of maybe forgive him for going out there and feeling like he has to win the game when he's just going out there playing his game, scrambling when he has to, making the throws he needs to, not getting too ahead of himself. Obviously was fine with going for 7 field goals there in that last game against the Giants. So I think Jaden Daniels is really showing his mettle these last 2 games, and I think he'll only improve the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think it's all about getting him a better offensive line, because if he had more time back there, it'd be interesting to see how much better he may look as a passer.
He's making it work. You gotta give him credit for that. He's making it work with what he's got. He still looks better than Daniel Jones does. All right, my next loser, I'm gonna go with the Bengals. 0-2. Burrow's recovering from the injury. I get that, and everybody wants to say Burrow's arguably the second quarterback in the league. I mean, I guess unless you have 3 all-pro receivers, anybody can really look good in the league sometimes. The guy seems almost average. I mean, he was 5-5 last year before he got hurt, which is not good for the second best quarterback in the league. He's on pace for 51 sacks. I mean, that's not all his fault. that would tie the career high that he's had. And then at the same time, he has 3 fumbles. But I got them as losers because I don't think they should have lost that game against the Chiefs, considering how their defense played. If anything, that's a game you got to be able to pull out against the defending Super Bowl champs. But they play the Commanders and the Panthers in the next 2 weeks, so this is going to be a big tell-all for them. If they lose any of those 2 games, then I think they're just absolute frauds. They are the Bengals, so don't be shocked if they lose one, if not both of those games at the same time.
Any Pittsburgh bias in that?
Fuck the Bengals.
My next winner.
No bias.
My next winner, I've got it's probably my favorite one. It's also probably the last cemented, or actually, there's technically one that came in a little bit later than this one. But the Falcons fans' sanity. Huge win Monday night. Huge win. Because, man, if they would have lost that game, those Penix chants would be getting louder and louder. But we don't probably have to worry about that, at least for another week. Week 1 looked really bad. Week 2 looked really bad. Up until, they had only like a minute and a half left in the game, in the last drive to win the game. It was really more like the last 20 minutes, but it sounds cooler whenever you say just the last minute and a half. Everyone expected Kirk to come in and immediately elevate the play of like Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Bijan Robinson. It hasn't quite went as expected, you could say. A lot of people probably starting to get a little bit antsy about drafting Penix 8th overall after signing Kirk Cousins to this massive deal, which looks like may have been a waste of money, and maybe you want Penix in there, but those last 2 quarters, really that last drive specifically, I kind of saw a spark there for a Falcons offense that had been middling to start the year. In those last 20 minutes specifically, Kirk Cousins had 141 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Before that point in the game of the Eagles matchup, including the first 60 minutes in the first game of the year, and then the first 40 minutes of this one, he only had 255 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 picks combined. So damn near matched the yardage in just those last 20 minutes of the Eagles game. Doubled in touchdowns and completely eliminated all of the interceptions. So it really felt like Atlanta may have found a spark there at the end of the game against Philly. And, now they're 1-1. Easily could have been 0-2, and honestly easily could have been 2-0. They got a tough stretch coming up, though. Teams Kansas City, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, all 2-0 teams in their next 3 games. So I think we'll get to see exactly if that final drive of the Philly game was a sign of things to come, or if maybe it was just a flash in the pan. But I've got confidence that it was a little bit of a spark of things to come. Not saying they'll beat the Chiefs this week, but I think Kirk may be getting back to his old self.
Yeah, you like that.
I do. I like that.
We'll go with a specific player this time around. We'll go with Jamar Chase from the Bengals. It's kind of a combination winner-loser. Winner, you'll love to see a guy hate to lose to another team. I mean, he hates the Chiefs specifically for some reason. But then, loser side, you can't get so mad and throw a tantrum on the field that you cost your team late in the game like he did. I mean, I don't even know what call he wanted. I don't know what he was so mad about, but
apparently
that
he thought
was
it was
just
a hip drop, which I don't know how you think that's a hip drop, but maybe when it's happening at the time, I don't know.
Is that even illegal yet?
It's more so going to be finable after the fact, but it's really hard to call.
Well, that's great. You don't yell at they don't decide who to fine mid-game, so why are you complaining then? Got so hot that even Joe Burrow had trouble calming him down. So
yeah.
Can't be costing your team like that, especially late in the close game.
Agreed. Yeah, no. I immediately texted you guys. I was like, what an idiot. Well, I used other words.
Yeah. Can't happen. But my next winner is the Kansas City Chiefs. But the loser to go along with them is any referee that has to go with their game. I mean, Patrick Mahomes getting 17 interceptions called back since 2018. I mean, what obvious way to give the Golden Boy the advantage other than that? I mean, more than Tom Brady had his entire career, and that's who he's probably going to be compared to at the end of it. So, as a Chiefs fan, all the props as the refs. They're losing because that's tough. That social media, man, is ripping them apart right now. But, you got to do what you got to do to keep the Golden Boy protected and keep the Taylor Swift on the screen, right?
Hey.
Our pockets are overflowing with the referees that we have in them. It is great. I love it.
Although, who I do have, though, is the Chiefs partially a loser, though, losing Pacheco. That's tough.
Yeah, that's
yeah. You think you can replace it, but outside of his production on the field, I mean, the way the guy runs the ball and the way he plays football, that's a tough spot to fill, and he brings a lot of energy to that field and to that team.
Whispers of Kareem Hunt making his Kansas City return.
He already signed on the practice squad.
I hope all the females leave the hotels.
I was actually going to say I was obviously going to go into a loser, but since you brought up the Isaiah Pacheco injury, one of my winners is Kareem Hunt, because now he's employed. Rumors surfaced pretty quickly. I think probably as early as Monday, but definitely like real loud rumblings early Tuesday morning. Of Kareem Hunt getting interest from some teams, including the Chiefs. Obviously, after the Pacheco injury was announced that he fractured his fibula. That's great for my fantasy team. But no, all seriousness, prayers out to him. Hopefully, he recovers quickly. But yeah, Kareem Hunt, man. Obviously, far removed from his 1,300 league-leading rushing performance back in his rookie season. Hasn't even put up 1,000 yards since, but we're not asking him to come here and be the old Kareem Hunt. We're asking him to come here and,
that'd be nice.
It would be cool. Don't get me wrong. That'd be awesome. But we're not asking for that. We just want someone to, be a little bit of a depth piece. Maybe play off of Carson Steele a little bit. He signed with the practice squad officially today. Despite putting up a career high in rushing touchdowns last year, did only have 3 yards of carry, so that's a little bit of concern. But maybe he's just a little bit of a red zone threat for us. Maybe we put him in once we get inside the 10-yard line. I don't know. Like I said, we don't need him to be 2017 Kareem Hunt. We don't even need him to be 2021 Kareem Hunt or whatever it was that he went off for the Browns a little bit. We just need him to, come in 5 carries, maybe 10 on a really, tough day. But not a lot. We just need you to come in every now and then. And man, if we win a Super Bowl, it'd be kind of cool to see Kareem Hunt finally get that Chiefs ring that he missed out on back in 2020.
Maybe if you don't kick somebody in the hotel.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm not saying it wasn't his fault. Just say it'd be kind of cool to see him, full circle.
No, it wouldn't be. I'm tired of seeing it. Let's change the confetti color just once, and then you guys can get another one. Let's change it up, please.
Hey, you had Tampa there 2 years ago,
and the Rams
3 years ago. Yeah.
Change it up.
No, we need a 3-peat.
Yeah, let us 3-peat first.
Let's go ahead and throw out the Ravens there. That's just it was a weird game. They took control early, and then Devontae Adams and Brock Bowers went nuclear there in the second half, specifically later in the fourth quarter. And then the Ravens just kind of went into a shell, and specifically that last offensive drive, that not even attempting to go for it. I think it was like 3rd and 13, so it wasn't like an outrageously long distance. And they just decided to do a little check down to Hill, and that was pretty much ball game with how momentum was swinging towards the Raiders' way. Still not using Derrick Henry to his full effect, I think. Little bit better usage of him this week, obviously, than against the Chiefs. I think it's just going to take a little time, a little getting used to get a feel for the most effective way to use them. Even though Tennessee literally laid out a template for like 5 years.
Yeah, I heard some Ravens fans calling for Harbaugh's job, which sounds
Which
ludicrous.
is insane.
Yeah, that sounds ludicrous to me. But I have heard some Ravens fans on the social medias calling for it, which again sounds nuts. But
As a Steelers fan, it's the same thing. People were doing it with Tomlin the last 2 years, calling for his job. I think it's one of those things, especially with Harbaugh. Like, you don't know how good you got it till they're gone, and then you realize what you have to try to build while they're gone.
You know
I
what?
think it's gonna hit harder.
I remember a day where Philly fans were calling for Andy Reid's job, and look at him now. So
Exactly. Fans are never satisfied unless their team's undefeated, winning the Super Bowl. So, who gives a damn? I'm gonna go with an obvious loser. I think anyone who watches any football at all will know the Panthers. They suck. They're horrible. Their organization.
Hey, no need to kick them while they're down.
yeah, this is
Joe.
horrible.
This
This
is
seems
rude.
vindictive.
Hey, I saw people on 9/11. The Panthers posted something in the comment section said, "This is our 9/11," talking about the current Panthers team.
Were the Panthers the new Browns?
You know, they might be. The Browns are still a shitty organization and probably will be for the foreseeable future. So,
Imagine
I mean, their first round pick 2 years ago, they came out last week. Head coach in a press conference said, "We're standing behind him. We got his back." What do they do this week? They bench the kid. So, as much as Bryce Young is probably struggling right now, he's a winner. Because I think this is his exit out the door. And Burke brought it up earlier about Sam Darnold. I mean,
Baker Mayfield,
it might
too.
be one or two more changes, and you're gonna be a superstar. You might be looking
That's
at
right.
the right place. So, the Panthers suck. I mean, you talk about having a whole off season of being the worst team and still looking maybe worse than you did the year before. Yeah, I don't know. They ruined Bryce Young. I know Bryce Young hasn't shown much of anything. I get that. I'm not gonna be blind to that. But 18 games in, you're putting all the blame on the kid who's now in his third offense in 18 games. I mean, they're trash. They are horrible, and they don't look like they're gonna be
And I will say,
anything.
Baker Mayfield looks better since Canellis left.
Baker looking nice out there.
Yeah.
Bryce Young looking like, I don't even know what that is. Oof. They're bad. They're just awful.
One of my losers I've got. Okay, so I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. I'm not saying long term. I'm literally just saying for this season because there was really high optimism for this team coming into this year that I think has been basically tamped all the way down. The Bears, optimism. Big fat fucking loser this week. My goodness gracious. That offensive line is pitiful. Gave up 7 sacks, like 30 fucking QB pressures. Caleb Williams does look a little rough, don't get me wrong. But it's hard to throw a football in the NFL when you're scrambling 20 yards behind the line of scrimmage half the time. So I think, this is going to be a big learning curve for Caleb Williams. Like you brought up a million times, Aaron. The expectations that they had for Caleb after the CJ Stroud season were probably a little lofty, little over optimistic, I would say even. He's going to take
Probably
time.
his expectations for himself as well.
Yeah, and I think it's going to take time. You see this with a lot of good quarterbacks throughout the years. It was a different time, but Peyton Manning was terrible his rookie season, just absolutely awful. So give Caleb time. I just don't think you're going to make any noise in the playoffs or not even probably going to sniff the playoffs this year, unfortunately, simply because that offensive line is just too damn bad.
But I'm going with the Saints. I mean, holy shit. 15 possessions, 15 scoring. I mean, Derek Carr. Nobody wanted him. Everyone said leave him. He's washed. He's not it. I mean, 91 points in 2 games. One was the Panthers. I give them that. That could be tossed out the window. They put an ass whooping on Dallas though. In Dallas. I mean, there's not much of an explanation as to why they're winners other than the fact that them boys are balling right now. They look fucking good. That's for sure.
Yeah. My preseason prediction just keeps getting worse and worse. And once they officially do win 3 games, I'm going to come out and officially apologize in that week's winners and losers. So get ready for next week's episode. My last thing I'm going to talk about. I've got the entire city of Las Vegas for multiple reasons. The sports books and the Raiders. Because for the sports books, the Niners lost to the Vikings, the Cowboys lost to the Saints, the Lions lost to the Bucks. I mean, they made bank this weekend, bro. Like, sheesh. I don't have any of like logistic, or I don't have the legitimate statistics on how many people were betting percentage-wise for whatever teams in those respective matchups, but I imagine that a lot of people were probably assuming all 3 of those teams, the Niners, Cowboys, and Lions, would probably win those matchups. Maybe the Bucks had a little bit better chance than the other teams, but I think a lot of people were probably betting for the favorites, especially in any parlays they maybe have made this weekend, putting those as their like surefire win. Like, this one's definitely hitting. And then it didn't. On top of that, obviously the one big upset I left out when talking about the sports books, the Raiders knocked off the Ravens. Went into M&T Bank Stadium, went into the Raiders' house, came back from down 10 in the 3rd quarter, and Vegas was able to pick up their first win of the season. And just like that, my prediction of them starting the year off 1-1 comes to fruition. How about that? Of course, I thought it'd be the other way around.
For 1,000.
Thought it'd be the other way around.
Who's killing it?
I thought they beat the Chargers and not the Ravens, but that's beside the point. But yeah, and then Aaron, how about our preseason DPOY pick there, Max Crosby, looking pretty nice.
Yeah.
Five sacks in the first 2 games, 2 of them on the ever elusive Lamar Jackson. So yeah, I'd say the Raiders look okay. They look okay. As I predicted, they'll probably finish right around 500 in my eyes.
Shoot, kind of to go off of what Burke said of Vegas, UFC 306 was this weekend at the Sphere in Las Vegas. First ever live performance. It's a live sporting event there. I mean, you were in Vegas this weekend, you were having a time if you bet against those other teams. Well, I'm going to close this out. I'm not going to make it too crazy, but as a person of a team who really doesn't have much hope, but just a lot of question marks, I got to pick the Steelers as my last win of the week. Specifically, the defense. The offense is not looking all that great. Justin Fields has no turnovers. That's a big win for anyone that knows football or watched what he had to deal with in Chicago. But just to put it in perspective, they're 2-0, only undefeated team in the North right now. Bengals, Ravens, Browns, suck it, and we're not worried about none of them. But 14 quarterback hits, 5 turnovers. We have control of the time of possession. Teams are 4 for 21 right now on 3rd down against 2 games. Granted, they're not 2 great teams that we played. We played Atlanta and we played Denver. But I've seen what the back half of our schedule looks like, and I'm taking the wins that I can get. 2-0. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm not going to act like we're anything better, but that's a win in my book compared to what we absolutely could be. Again, the defense is a win. TJ Watt should have like 5 sacks right now, but shout out to the Falcons referees for screwing us on that as well.
Yeah, the refs are going to be the reason Max Crosby edges out TJ Watt this year.
Hey, speaking of 5 sacks though, did you guys see Aiden Hutchinson? 5 sacks,
Dude.
1 game, or 4.5.
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
That's
too.
wild. That's wild.
I've got a feeling a white edge rusher is winning DPOY this year. Let me tell you. But unless y'all got anything else, I think that'll do it for this episode of the most unprofessional sports channel on YouTube, Swivel Chair Sports. I've been your host, Sack Sugarwork Merkle. Here with the host today, Aaron and Joe. Go and say bye, guys.
Bye.
Alright, please make sure to like and subscribe if you made it this far into the video. Make sure to drop a comment down below with your biggest winners and losers of week 2 of the NFL season. And make sure to keep coming back for more videos, alright? We love you guys. Deuces. Have a good day.